Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
Happy tea
afternoon.
time.
Happy Friday, tea
Happy
time.
Friday tea time.
Happy Friday, tea time.
Happy Friday.
Tea time. Venus Friday, tea time.
Happy 1-1.
Happy triple one, everyone. Good after. I can't even say good morning.
Well, it can be morning time. It's late morning.
If it's your morning time, good morning. Good afternoon. Bon dia. We should start to practice our Sopeche. Good morning.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? Hello, Mariam John. So our tea, let's see. What are you drinking today? What is your tea that is accompanying our beautiful talk today? What's yours, Michael?
Mine has it's a ginger, and it said,
You have the lemon ginger today.
Lemon ginger. Let us be kind and compassionate to remove the sadness of the world.
I love that. That's the yoga tea. Mine doesn't have any message.
Make a message up. Great one.
Create your own reality.
There you go.
It's a blank canvas. Mine is a plain chai today, tea bag actually, because I didn't get a chance to make it tea. Michael had healing session, so he just finished and we had to sort of get ready. Didn't get a chance to brew anything from scratch. But we do have a vegan banana cake with us, with our tea. I heated it up for you.
I love how you say banana cake.
It's not
banana bread.
Oh.
It's okay. Your words are always, they're always beautiful when you can say something. I know what you mean. But.
Okay.
And Miriam, what are you drinking today? Did you bring a nice cup of Joe to the table, or a nice little level of precious tea? Welcome.
Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, the other ones that are watching here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very grateful. Hello, Doreen. Thank you so much. If you have a moment to just on the chat say hello so we know who's watching, would be great. We're very grateful to have you be with here. Every week we gather on Fridays just to have this moment to be together. Hello, Fiorella. Hello, Nancy. Thank you so much. Just the opportunity to be with each other and take a little time of our busy day. Like my grandmother used to say, I remember, Michael, I was a teenager and I would be flustered or stressed out. And my grandmother would say, "Buru chai bezar, go put the tea on." And I would put the tea on. She like Rula in her dialect, "Come sit." She's like, "Put your feet up." And I remember it was just maybe like 10 minutes, right? And I would put my feet up and I would have this tea with her and we would be totally often silent. And just that moment is so incredible, that moment that we give to ourselves. So here in this gathering, there's no teaching. Sometimes things come up where we get to share. It's really about sharing. You sharing. So we've had a week from last week that we saw each other, and every kind of things happens in our lives, and there's all kinds of ascension energies taking place. And so we just have this opportunity to grab a tea and just share with each other where we are, what's happening, and also speak a little bit of the energies.
And how nice to have some warm tea on a cold day, at least here, we're on the eve of what we think is a snowstorm coming. We'll see what happens.
But you say, it's so hot in our apartment right now.
We pretend it's like Florida and Miami heat, so we pretend
it's not affecting us.
We turn the heat up to 90 and then drink our tea to offset the cold out there.
At some point, we have to put a big sun here, Florida sun, to rise. So
what my dream was? My dream was when I came back from Mexico to take one room and just put as much sand in it. Get some palm trees, paint the walls with waves, and just have this fan that's blowing. And this fan that's blowing, and have one of those heat lamps. So when you walk into the room, it'll be like the tropical room, and you take your shoes off, and when you first walk on the sand and you feel the sand, you're like, wow. Why couldn't there be a room in your house?
We should do it here. Dedicated. So we have all the look. Could you imagine?
Rule, we might as well just have the sand rule.
Yeah, we have channeling the master this weekend. Could you imagine from the snow they come to the sunny,
it'd be one
sandy?
Big sandbox. Make a box and get the real nice sand, the white sand from Florida. So when people walk in, they automatically feel that cushion of the sand. We get a lot of salt water so we can have the the smell of the beach. Have some waves
negative
in the
ion.
background. Like, could you imagine? It could be just
We even have the sound effect.
We should put that on. Have a little waves in the background. I can get my surfboard out and I can pretend to like paddle out into the waves.
Michael,
and just,
you should. You should.
Yeah.
It's important for us. Michael and I do this so that we go on a tangent and we laugh a lot because nobody can bring the joy to you but you. Nobody can make you happier than yourself. And I feel like when we're waiting on others, we're really robbing that time and space for ourselves to bring the highest level of joy to us because it's available. And if you happen to be able to share these joys, like I have no problem because if the carpet is removed, we put sand here. So what? That's fantastic. If you get to share that, it will be great. With my former marriage, that would have been a giant problem because he was not open to any of these. But we're open. We could put him in the hammock in the middle of the room.
Oh my gosh, you said hammock. Whoa. And I appreciate what you say, honey, because I feel sometimes, I know this week, honey's caught me taking myself a little too serious just in my own block. Yes,
you should talk about that.
I said block, Miriam. I said funk. I said and sometimes when we take ourselves so serious, we're not creating that fun or that joy when it may be already there, yet our own ego may get in the way or my own ego gets in the way. And so I find what's very precious is when that joy comes up to laugh. And really what I've noticed this week is not to take myself so seriously because the mental body, as Honey reminded me yesterday, there can be this trickster energy and everything can be like perfect. Everything can be going well. And sometimes it's funny because it's off the wave that we just kind of went through, this huge like holiday wave. Now that the New Year's is over, now that the holidays are over, now that we're like in it, then all of a sudden there can be this, you nailed it, this trickster energy that wants to creep in and say, well, what's not being accomplished? What's not happening? What's it's like all the things that are trying to like squirm in to see what is the issue. Where's the problem? And immediately that is
it's looking for a problem.
It's looking for a problem
because it's bored. Because things are good.
Yeah. When really, what I've learned, and now that the message is coming to me, is isn't it funny that this time of year, this is the time to go inward. This is the time where it's more dark than light. That our inner stuff tends to rise more of this because it's really winter time to go within ourselves to feel. And right when we feel the stuff that maybe we don't want to look at or feels uncomfortable, or I was feeling kind of stuck because I wasn't connecting with my guides or connecting in prayers. I just felt irritable. I felt stuck. I felt this.
Did you feel foggy?
I just felt like there was like a wave that was riding, and all of a sudden that wave kind of like crashed, and it just kind of got very monotone. And I don't know, in my Aquarian nature, when it gets monotone and rhythmic and things just happen to normal, because I like a lot of just different outlets to expand.
You mean you like extraordinary?
Extraordinary. That for me, when the stuff started to come outward, instead of embracing it, Honey was very well to say, oh, look at what's coming up, because she pointed out, well, we are having fun through dancing. We are doing this because the mind wanted to like perceive like there was too much work or there wasn't enough time for myself, or I came across and I said, I'm putting everything ahead of me and I'm not putting myself first. But yet,
so just speak to that, Mike, because I feel you're going to speak on behalf of others. You felt frustrated, and you addressed this frustration just took over you, because there are all these other amazing things around, but somehow you got pulled into some frustration, right? And then it's very interesting, and I feel sometimes when we have people that love us, they can just gently remind, well, is it really frustrating? Look, because somehow it's looking for something to address, right? Like, so one part of you, whichever part was looking to, wanting to make a stand that is irritated over God knows what, right? So, I shared that. I was like, well, you wanted to dance, we went dancing. You wanted to massage, you went got massage. You wanted to play, we put like 4 hours of watching Berlin and the new show Heist, right?
It's anxiety.
Right. But I said, what else? There were various other things, right? I was like, well, what really is going on? So it was so interesting. And I felt in a moment you stepped away from gratitude.
I stepped away from gratitude and not realizing what was already happening in front of me, and honoring that first, versus the mind versus my mind trying to figure out what didn't feel right or what felt irritable. And I knew there was even the mind and its attachment of wanting to bring forth a new aspect of the healing that I'll be presenting, and then being frustrated at myself that I haven't had the time to create that. And so that started to build within me of like, why is that time not being created? So long story short, I had this attachment to something that I wanted to do. It wasn't happening. So then I started to feel what was getting in the way, what was happening, when really nothing was getting in the way. Everything was happening as it should, because everything's happening as life is being presented. And when things come into our field, it's very important, as Honey mentioned, to flow with what's arising, because we all have creative projects. We all have areas that we like to focus our to-do list. But once I felt attached that it wasn't getting done, or I put in a certain expectation or a certain frustration, it started to eat me away. And then that personal judgment within myself started to analyze from the mental perspective of what was not taking place. Where was the limitation within myself? And I loved it, because as Honey, brought in gratitude. Isn't it interesting that with gratitude, when we place gratitude in, and really what I love about Honey in this gratitude.
There's a lot of love today for you, for me, Venus Friday. It's amazing.
It's just like, I feel sometimes I know I can judge myself and put a lot of pressure. I know that I see that within many, many, many different beings. We put so much pressure on ourselves of doing the right thing, moving forward. But yet, I love how stepping away from that judgment, how gratitude, and Miriam, I love how you brought this in your speech when you spoke about gratitude at Rise. That gratitude there is to appreciate, to bring in the goodness that's being presented in our life. And how interesting is when we put the attention toward that gratitude, where does all the other things fall in line that we're judging? Because that goodness has a far more greater value. It diffuses what we're judging, because really, if I think about it, when we have our basic needs, shelter, food, security, the basic things that we need, then we really have to honor, like, wow, we live in a first world, we're on a computer, we get to speak to you. We're in the minority of the world when there's so many other beings out there that are fighting for survival, fighting for the ability to understand that we sometimes take for granted what we have. And I find Honey, it was a great reminder to recognize that, look what's happening in front of us. Look at the doors that are happening. It was very
beautiful. Like, I feel like in a moment, I keep going back to my grandmother. Like, I always remember whenever I was flustered, my grandmother would bring me just to the basics very quickly. She would say, you have eyes, you can see. You have mouth, you have teeth, you can speak. Your hands are working, your feet are working. You have no problem. And just like that, I would come back to my center, and I would remember that I'm being pulled into area which is missing appreciation. And I feel in life, we really have to use the frustrations and all of that in the major problems, because in the human form, there are serious things. Like, let's say there's a serious car accident. Let's say there are all kinds of things. So we can put that energy there. But in everyday life, the appreciation helps us stay in the center place of divine. And I really feel our morning practice makes a big difference. The prayers, the meditation, being that space, aligning our heart with the divine, aligning our heart with Mother Earth, recognizing ourselves as a part of the Creator, as a part of the sentient beings on Earth, as everybody else on other humanity on earth. So, and I feel that place, okay, I'm no less than, I'm no more than, we all are going through this, but really appreciating what is before, because they are less fortunate. And for whatever their agreement has been, it is so. But I'm going to just honor, not feel guilty, but feel gratitude for this incredible energy that is flowing, for however where the agreements are.
What I appreciate about gratitude is it really helped me take the pressure off myself. And I understand that sometimes there's just this teenager within me that has all this pressure. And I find it's almost like our adolescent years that like we put all this pressure on ourselves to get things done, to for the achievement, for all the programs that we've learned in school, and how successful we have to be. And there's areas that are still washing away. I'm so obvious of stepping back and not trying to feel like there's a certain quota that my teenager needs to feel in its approval or validation of
But
work.
do you know why that's happening? And it's on a collective level, Michael?
Well, why it's happening right now?
Because see, in our ascension journey of our awakening, one of the biggest part that we have had to tackle together collectively to start facing our inner child. And that inner child, that everything that has been buried within our inner child in our early childhood that we never faced because we felt so disempowered for our circumstance, we never had the ability to voice it. So in our earlier stages of real ascension, we've been creating that connection with the inner child. So now what's happened is like, now is the phase we've tackled that, we've handled that. Now it's time for teenager. That often the teenager within has been very angry, pissed off. You've since you met me, you've met my teenagers.
Her
teenagers are getting nice,
I want to
but
leave
she's
the
very
country.
nice.
When her teenager is pissed off, buy me a ticket and get me out as
It's
quick as
so-
possible, because I
Yeah.
love her with all my heart. But when that teenager comes out, it's like
The teenager is very upset because the teenager had a very difficult teenagers here. So finally, it's all that voice, all that. There was one stage of the child, now is the teenager, right? And the teenager having the honor, respect to voice its truth.
Mhm.
Because now we are in our, we're starting to go towards our elderly, still in adult elderly. I'm starting that, it's coming in, like all the grays are coming in. And so that's where you get the grays. It's beautiful. So we're going through these stages because we're going through the purification, right?
Mhm.
We're going through the flu symptoms.
Right.
What are the flu? These are the frequency light, right? Updates. That's what flu is. And it's not what the traditional Western medicine puts it. These are the frequencies updating our system so that we can be aligned with our true natural divine state. And these purifications are a huge part of our ascension journey.
Great. And isn't it interesting with the teenager that there is like this rebel side? There's this side that's like elbows up. I am not taking no for an answer because I'm just gonna. It's really what I find so interesting, because it's the honoring of that teenager. It's the honoring of that growth. When we were all teenagers, there was this element that there was so much out there, but yet there's this like collective of like, where do I start first? What do I do? And really what I'm aware of now, which I feel for most teenagers, is the amount of pressure we place on them so that they succeed. Because many teenagers like, well, I have to have the phone, the car, the girl, the job, and then have everything, and then have all this pressure of how am I going to look? And it's interesting that just outlook of what we felt in our teenage years is now, when I talk to Kiana, when I talk to the teenagers now, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you get to interact with my teenage son.
And
so we get to see
much
that.
more now than when we were teenagers.
They have pressures.
The pressure's double the amount. The ego is like, I have to prove this. It's like the pressures that we place now is so, I give so much respect to the teenagers that are now handling it, because it starts even before teenage years. Like the youth are getting the parents that want to get them as smart as possible, get them in every activity, accelerate their cells. So point being, I feel that when this teenager arises, there's a part that we have to accept in ourselves and fully honor. Yet when that irritability started to come out, when that kind of
we catch it, right?
Catch it. And what I
catch it before it takes over.
Before it comes out, because it's really easy. And this is what I love what Honey does is it's really easy when we feel upset. Yes, it's important to express it. No, it's not good to express it at someone, even if I'm not targeting her, but I express it in an energy that comes out.
Like you did express it with frustration.
For frustration.
And I brought it attention to Michael. I said, Michael, you have every right to feel frustrated. But tell me, honey, can you just hear me? I'm feeling frustration. Can you just hold the space for me while I express frustration in me? Because this energy wants to move out of his body and it just needs to be heard. That's all. But often what we do, we speak from a place of frustration, and then without knowing, our energy is already directed, and that doesn't feel good.
Unconsciously. I'm expressing it. I'm not aware that it's coming out in her energy field.
It's directed.
Being it's very sensitive, that energy field picks it up, and then obviously she tells it back to me, and then my frustrations, in a way, the mind would say, well, that's not being heard because I'm not expressing freely. Yet it was great when Honey says, there's also another way when we express. Honey June, can you just hear me what I'm expressing? I'd like to express something coming from that place of love versus that frustration, because somewhere underneath, it's either a wounded child, a pissed off teenager, and it just wants to express it. And I find in this time how valuable it is that we can speak about this and we could just share to others that just the importance of expressing your emotions, the importance of expressing it outward, because once we express it outwardly, then it clears our level. And the key that I want to say is when expressing it, to do it in a kind, loving way, or as Honey says, have a shit fit, prepare the situation. If it's going out screaming at nature, if it's going out breaking, safely breaking plates on the ground, which we've done that one before, but just safely doing it so it doesn't harm anyone, because the last thing we want to do is express something.
Whether physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, we do harm to no other, including ourselves. So if you are feeling it, it's very important with person you feel very close to, your trust. Say, listen, I'm experiencing this inside. I need help. Can you just hold this space for me? And then if the person can hold the space for you, then you just go on a tangent. I feel this, whatever. And then it leaves your system. But you do not dare direct that energy to another. Just like you don't go physically punch them, emotionally attack them, mentally, none of that. You just express in your ownership what is there that has to clear out. So it's a beautiful wash machine inside.
And lastly, just before we move to the next topic, I find that a lot of us, because punching. Well, yeah, you can punch. You can
listen. You can punch the pillow, Maya. Grab a pillow, go to the wall, and go nuts.
Or if you want to have a safe pillow battle with COVID, I would,
we have done that too.
I would hold the ring for both of you guys here. We can, put little feathers and warrior mode on, and get your wands out and just like whack it out. But point being is, I find that most of us, we're very sensitive beings. A lot of us work in the healing arts. Because we're so sensitive, it's just really important that we take in a lot of energy from many. And so in that expression of not just what was happening in our own field, but what's happening around us, because we're in such a dynamic field. And so when we have all these energies, it's so important. Like this year, I was like, I have to get to the gym so I can start, cardiovascularly moving more blood. However we want to move more blood, circulate the energy, push the energy, connect. That's a form of expression that I feel can help all of us of just letting go. So after that, I felt, and of course, after a very powerful, beautiful light code transmission healing yesterday.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Wasn't it interesting the way that worked out? Because I wanted to do the light. Michael's been like waiting, honey, when are you going to do? I want to be the first for you to do the light transmission, light code transmission healing. And I was like, of course, but this had to come up. And then, so yesterday, Michael had the opportunity to experience this pure light language code transmissions, which he wrote on the Facebook page about it. And right after you finished, I turned on the video just so you can see what your experience was. And I couldn't be more giddy because I feel the frequency field finally holds the space in its freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to say, so for years of speaking light language, I have also been very retracted in that space, not feeling safe enough to express. This is years ago. Not feeling I can fully express it because I'm so judged that all this sounds like gibberish coming out, and people want to know like what, like literally what's wrong with you. And I have been very heavily judged about that. So, and of course my energy was much more focused there, and yet that's what my heart desired. So in the group events at various countries where I was doing the Galactic Shamanic Sound Medicine, there was one part with my crystal ball that I would bring the light language in, but very briefly. But I knew this was coming because my Ascension team had said, you are going to bring the multiple languages of light, from the celestial, the galactic, the cosmic, the angelic, the elemental, the group of the dragons, the Magdalene consciousness. I mean, there's like such a huge range. And it's a total free space. It's a space where I'm completely in my absolute element of zero thought. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that space where it's just so, it flows so easy. I don't get tired. I feel so joyful because I'm constantly interacting with the codes, and it's so live and present. So to have Michael, and I shared in the video what it was about, and to have Michael experience it yesterday. But what was amazing to me was, obviously, I mean, you're very sensory, so you experience things. But what was so incredible is from that fogginess, your head energy, and just the way you were, and the shift, the immediate shift you felt. Okay, so that was very interesting, which all healings happen. But what I loved personally, I mean, not just as your beloved, but as a facilitator, that for you couldn't put it in any category of any kind you've ever experienced. And that's what I love.
Yeah.
Because there were 24 languages that were spoken for your session. I can't say that will be like that for everybody, but it was so beautiful to also receive the specific code for you. And yeah,
it was powerful. What I appreciate, just to see Honey move into the next expansion that's being called through as a vessel that we all know that brings so much wisdom and so much light, to be a witness and to feel an energy that the mind can't quite understand, yet the soul has this resonance with. And in the resonance, there was this activation and just being what I felt very receptive in each language, each visualization that empowered. I felt like empowered in the deepest, clearest way that allowed. I mean, it's funny. It's hard to describe in these words because the words can't quite
capture.
Match what the frequency or vibration is. So I'm catching myself, because as I imagine it, all I can say without going all different directions is energy and the frequency of the language matching with the visualizations that came through created something I've never experienced in the
healing arts.
To say the healing of it, because healing is different for each individual, and the healing arts that allowed such a clarity and opening and expansion. And what I thought was the best gift is the sigil, the light language that I forgot to tell you, the code that I used this morning in my prayer.
Oh, how was it?
Oh my God. Well, it's funny because in the morning, it's not funny when you're frustrated and irritable, how like the things you love to do don't seem like they're so loving anymore. So like the frustration, irritability, sometimes, I come out and how was prayer? It was all right. I saw crystal dragons. I saw this and that. And I was like, how you doing?
But I've also been on that side.
So we've both been on these sides. So it's never to compare, never to
No,
judge. Just
no.
more to laugh.
Just sharing.
Just to share. So today I did the sigil, which I love because
it's a code.
It's a code.
But okay, but you can call it sigil if you want.
I'm using words.
It's the code specifically for your diamond heart. That's for you to see.
The code that allowed, which is almost in the shape of a 5, allowed me to even open my heart deeper in the connection of the spirits that I spoke to this morning, the guides and the energy. So it felt like I connected in a deeper level much faster. And I look forward to.
So did you draw it first, and then you started your prayer?
I started the prayer, and then halfway through the prayer, I got the message to then visualize. Then I visualized it.
Did you draw it?
And then I visualized it and drew it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. So the code Michael received, what happens is I saw it coming, and I experienced the movement and the sound of it. So from there, I have a piece of paper and I wrote it, and then afterwards I'll draw it in a gold pen, so that way the person takes it with them, or if it's on Skype, I'll still do that, and you can take a picture too, and I'll show you how the movement of it is, because it's not flat. There's an actual movement that is taking place. So I showed Michael how to draw it and how to feel it, and then how to see it in its movement, because it's moving through his vibrational field. And I can't quite put it into words why I do what I do, but I just freaking love it. It makes me feel the absolute happiest, to just serve in this way. And
it's great. And thank you guys. I mean, it's very beautiful to see the support. Thank you, Nancy, for being open to receive light language. You can use the contact Honey at our email
just
address.
Email me. I'll send you the information.
Send me the information, because obviously there's a lot of requests, but it's beautiful to see the dear love hearts that are calling in to receive this, because it is a whole different element. And what Honey spoke about this morning, I thought it was powerful, that reflected to what I felt, is we have this language that we communicate, but there's also another language beyond our human language. And to feel that connection, it takes us beyond our human experience into a soul family, StarSeed, Galactic feeling that allows that connection, because we just are limited in our words and language. Yet our soul
it's so grand,
it's
right?
So grand that it feels. I remember Archangel Michael during a channel said, "There's not words for it, but when your soul can fully resonate with it, then there's something beyond these." And so it's really interesting to see how each individual is going to respond in their own resonance.
In their own
beingness. What I found personally is, and I recommend this for those that are receiving the healing, go out with any expectation, let go of all attachment, and just be present and open to see and feel what happens.
And how quickly it is. How quick it is. It's because it's not, it doesn't take that long.
And if, Mariam, you become a unicorn, then
hallelujah,
then COVID can jump and you can ride into the sunset. You can ride into the sunset and be the most magical unicorn, because there will be visions. That was the beautiful thing, is there were some powerful visions that came through.
Yeah, because there's a part there that you do have to see something that I'm asking, and you have to breathe in that. You just have one part. I'll explain all of it in it, and pretty much that's it. The rest of it, you are literally in the presence of these living codes, and the living codes are in universe. There's nothing that has to be created. It's just the interaction with them, and I feel like when it expands you to the multidimensional aspect of you. So you recognize suddenly, like, wow, I'm just not this human to feel such trapped energy in just a human form. That's what it is, because that's what it opens you, like, out of the prison, because often when our energy is trapped just in these 7 chakras, like, and this physical form, we feel like we can't breathe. But the minute it expands, it's like, wow, here's that giant aspect of me in here. Okay, great, we got this.
And isn't it amazing that right now, as many are more awakening, becoming more conscious, how powerful it is to recognize our multifaceted, multidimensional self.
Yeah.
And as this healing, which is, to me, was very, very profound, it really excites the fact that, like, oh, wow, coming out of it, the senses are hyper alert, the clarity, and just the feeling of we're more than this 3D.
Yeah.
We're more than what the eyes can see. And that gives so much more reverence to what we are
It
moving
shifts
into.
the perception because it gives you access to the higher perception.
Right.
Perceiver, observer, right? So it's like the see, it's the seer is doing the seeing, which I feel is really important. Yeah.
And it's a perfect time.
Perfect time, particularly for so today, this 111. So we have 111. One is a very powerful energy to begin with because you start, it's that first step, right? So we're in the month of January. Again, one, that's where we had our conscious creation higher vision event on 1-1, just to be able to tap on that energy 1-1, which is that 2 energy, the window, the gateway you go through. Now we have 1-1-1, so we have 3 little gateways in here, right? Which is very exciting. But it also is this triple flame. We keep coming back to triple flame because 2019 is all about this Trinity energy. It's the full emergence of, our mind, our body, our soul. I don't use it really the mind so much. To me, it's like the heart, soul, the universe, like coming together in one. And I also feel like we've had this Trinity in many religions. We've had it. There's always this, like sun, moon, and star. Or we have, like, for example, what is it in religion that they do? It's moving off of me, like with the Holy Spirit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry.
It's the word, so.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of this. So there's this triangle energy, and what it is, because if you look at that triangle energy, it is really a flame, and it is the flame inside of us that is directing connection to spirit, connecting to the universal consciousness, the cosmic mind, the heart of the cosmos, the entire creator, the entire intelligence of the full universal field of consciousness. We are exactly that. And when we're coming to this Trinity, we're opening up all aspects of ourselves that are part of this, again, multidimensional being that we are. So the minute we allow ourselves to step away from our human experience into our higher beingness, we giving ourselves to move ourselves to the higher timeline, which is our divine blueprint. And that divine blueprint gives us then the opportunity with universal correspondence to bring that higher reality from our off-planet lives, from many different multiple dimensional field, multiple verses into here, and from there you only share the goods on earth. And I feel that's the gift. But one of the things is you find people that are very retracted in their 5 senses, and they're not willing to step, like, for example, in meditation or anything spirituality, or it has to be like religious because it's controlled. Because the minute you get out there, they're afraid of that sort of loss of control, where you actually are not losing control. I feel, if anything, you're tapping into your greater power. It's even replaced with control, because wow, then you get to maneuver this from a place of, the mind would consider it unknown because it doesn't know how to maneuver through the formless state. When we are bypassing the 5 senses into our higher senses, the 6, 7, 8, 9 senses, we're moving to our higher dimensional field of consciousness, and then we start interacting multidimensionally. So as a result of it, that is not a job of our mental body, because it does not know how to navigate through it. So it's like, for example, if a little kid has learned how to, be in a little, for example, bicycle pedal like this, you put this little kid in a Ferrari and you want it to turn the car and drive it. It doesn't know how. But yet, if you just allow your heart come into that place of the heart that knows the place of the golden present, this golden now, this moment of this now, which is called, do you know why they call it present, by the way?
Present or presence?
No, present.
Present.
Present is a gift. You know why?
Why?
So for those of you, this is very interesting. So present, when you divide the word, it's called present. The reason why when you stay in the moment, you always receive, it's like as if you're receiving all the gifts of the universe because you have access to infinite intelligence, infinite solutions. And that's why they're called gifts, because they're present. And the moment you come to this breath of this now, you stay right here, you suddenly are able to experience the gifts. And that's why they're called present. Isn't that beautiful?
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So having said that, this Trinity flame, the energy of today on a Venus energy, right? Triple flame. And it's the triple energy regardless in 2019. And we've talked about the energy of the little child, because when the little child is free, is joyful, and is able to create a lot of the magic. So that's why the element of play is important. That's why it's the little child, right? Connecting with our higher self, connecting with divine. So it becomes a very important part of it. So the little child is part of the, all creation energy happens with the little child. And I love one of my dear sacred brothers, God, I love him so much. He said, when you came to earth, you came first, you entered in the body of an infant, a little child. That's why now you're the adult, and you would not be here if it wasn't for your little child. If for that little, so it is so prioritized that that little child, that delicate, sacred, pure, innocent part of you is celebrated by you, and you can't wait for others to celebrate you. You have to do it yourself.
And how beautiful we get to do that in a year that's celebrating that Trinity, to celebrate that point of what the inner child represents, because it represents the fun.
Yeah.
It represents the play, but even deeper, it represents the purification. And what I really appreciate, it represents the innocence within us. So many times this guilt, this shame, this pressure we place on ourselves, but when we reconnect to the innocence of that little child, how it just is so soft and so light and really simple. And it's amazing when we look at life in an innocent way. When we look at the beauty of how we can play in innocence and how we can just have this level, because I find that, what a powerful word that has been coming through me is the integrity of how we hold our spirit and our connection to source. There's this innocence of just like when we see a child, and I've been noticing this with a lot of children, and you look into their eyes and there's just this innocence. There's this way of really seeing how in the innocence of a child's look, there's such this opening and this reception to receive and to be fully open.
Yeah.
And as that innocence empowers us, how fun to really take time throughout that day to create that joy, that pureness. Thank you, Nancy, to bring forth.
Because like a lot of times we have a hard time really self-loving ourselves, because we've gone through programs, conditioning, circumstance, and whatever. And frankly, it's been shit, for many of us, but we're growing out of it. I feel one of the things, like, for example, I have always thought this is me when I was little. So I have this in our altar. Yeah. And when I look at myself every day, I send so much love. And that's how I grow my love for me, the multiple dimensional aspect of me, the little baby me, the teenager me, the adult me, now the elder me, my higher self, my divine self, my galactic self. It's a vehicle. It's giving me access through this from this, because when you look at a little baby, it's very hard for you to feel hate in the presence of a little baby. It's almost impossible because you're in the presence of divinity. And in order for you to experience that love with you, have a little picture of you, tiny, or if you don't have a picture of you, put a picture of a little baby at your altar. So it reminds you, because every single one of you were a little baby. Doesn't freaking matter. You can be a walk-in too. You can, but even if you were walking in another portal, you came in, you're still a baby, because that's the gift of incarnating. So I feel it becomes very important.
It's
so cute.
It's really powerful.
But look at that, like Michael. So this is what I've had to grow out of. They keep putting pacifier in my mouth to shut this from very early on.
And isn't it powerful when we have the opportunity to look into the eyes of these children, because that innocence, it's like looking into the universe, and it's just worldwide incredible energy. And okay, if there's not a baby, if there's not a child, then take the time to watch children play, watch a cartoon. I know with Honey and I, when we recently when we started watching different cartoons, there's this playfulness, there's this softness that brings back and really washes away all the things that we're holding on to, because just
that part needs to be fed.
It needs to be fed. And it's so funny, because I just remember as a child, like I was like the master player. Like I loved to play. I remember one of my best friends, literally, and this was at age 10, would call me up and say, Mike, are you allowed? Well, he used to be Mike. Mike, are you allowed to play today? I was like, hold on, Mom. Mom, can I play today? And I remember when I walked out that door, it was like dragons and unicorns and what stream we're gonna find. Where's the treasures underneath it? And it took me into this land of just, there's everything waiting for you. There's everything open to explore, and it took me to a complete new dimension that brought forth this infinite layer of what's going to happen next, because now it's just time to fully accept that there's energy that can fully bring me into the highest power of playfulness. And I remember as a kid, I was like, I don't want to be an adult. You know why? Because adults don't play. They're so serious about making money and doing this. And it's almost like the children should come to us adults and be like, guys, I think we should all play. And I remember Honey and I have actually talked about this, and I had a vision in Indonesia. Well, what happens if we did an adult play workshop where literally we had to put paint on the ground, not sand, paint, and we would roll and paint, or there's things that bring forth that innate level, because we are so responsible and we work so hard that playfulness really needs to be nourished to bring that innocence and joy back into heart.
And that's why, like, for example, in February 14th in Miami at the sanctuary, we have our inner divine love event, which is the meditation, is a playful meditation, because I feel like for me, my playground is my meditation. When I go into it, my prayer meditation, Michael is set with me that like I have a feel that I'm singing and I just have so much fun, and that's a space I go into and interact, and it's truly fun. And I feel meditation, the other part of it, has become such a chore, and that's why people turn off of it. That's why I've taught that one particular event in so many countries, because to help line it up and have fun, because when you're through joy, when you create the spinning field around you so fast, you create magnificent, and so much more comes with that higher frequency to materialize on earth in its proper materialization, but in alignment. And I feel when you create from frustration, you're creating, but you can also create from joy, and you're creating, but you do so much good, and everybody else experiences too. So a lot of good things. But let's do something, Michael. So we did this last week, which was so much fun.
11? Should I choose the
Yeah,
11th
it
one?
is at 11. Yeah.
Okay, 11.
So just as last week, I'm going to be pulling an ascension card for us because this is an ascension talk, so we can see on a collective level what message we receive. And Michael is going to read an angelic message for today for you. So let's have you do that.
Okay.
But hold on, like have them just for a second.
So take your time just to take some nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, getting yourself comfortable in a seated position. And just feel yourself open in peace and joy. And through this breath of innocence, allowing yourself to receive the beautiful message that now comes forward with your just eyes closed, maybe your hand over your heart, in receiving. Let go.
That's the name of the message.
When you wish to control situations or people, including yourself, it's simply a sign of fear and distrust. Have compassion when this tendency shows up in yourself or someone else. Know that you or this other individual simply needs reassurance that the universe is orderly and trustworthy. Nurturing, soothing love is the remedy for these issues. After all, the person who tries to have power over everything often feels out of control. We can help and intervene by surrounding the entire situation with a clear-eyed vision of a desirable outcome. If your trust has been shaken and you feel the need for the ironclad guarantee, lean upon your unwavering faith. We can refuel your own with our unlimited supply. You see, we know that everything will turn out well for you, and that love and divine order are completely in charge. The more you're aware of this truth, the more peaceful you'll feel. And with peace comes the knowledge that everything truly is under control. So the thought for today in this great affirmation that we can place.
We all say it after you.
We all say it together.
Okay, go ahead.
I know that these circumstances
are completely under control.
I trust that this is a fair and divinely ordered universe. The infinite wisdom of God has already brought the perfect
plan
outcome to this situation.
Aho.
Breathing that in and just feeling that message resonate within you. Feel that process of just letting go.
Can you read the decree just one more time? Just this, okay? So it does it. So okay, up to here. So read that at once. So okay, I'm going to repeat it after you. Go ahead.
I know that these circumstances are completely under control.
I trust
that this is a fair and divinely ordered universe. The infinite wisdom of God has already brought the perfect outcome to this situation.
The infinite wisdom of God has already brought forward the perfect outcome for this situation. And so it is.
And so it is.
That feels better for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hope you receive that. So where you are, just stay right there. So I'm going to go ahead and see what we receive with one of our Ascension cards. So we ask the beloved Creator and without them jumping out, we ask beloved Yeshua, Mother Mary, the angels and the ascended masters, the higher guides, the elementals, all the cosmic, the angelic, the galactic, all universal fields together, all great consciousness to unite as one, as the perfect message for us today is shared. So it is, the message is air, and it's number 12. So it is still 3, which is perfect. And it says, here we go. The element of air supports truly magical cosmic qualities. Sylphs are air elementals, working for the elemental master dome and supervised by the unicorns. You're guided to ask the unicorns to direct Dorn and his sylphs to spread the qualities air, enlightenment, ascension, enthusiasm, freedom, and divine vision into the minds of those who need them. Also ask them to purify currents of air and blow them to polluted areas so that they may too be cleared. Help the fairies work with flowers by acknowledging and appreciating them. So the affirmation for this one is, I invoke air to carry angels singing around the world and bring hope and peace. Ready? Okay, so say it. I invoke air.
I invoke air.
Close your eyes here. You don't have to see the air.
Sorry, I'm air.
Air. Okay.
Double air.
I invoke air.
I invoke air.
To carry angels singing around the world.
To carry angels singing around the world.
And bring hope and peace.
And bring hope and peace.
How beautiful. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's wonderful to share these messages and
I
to
love them.
Reinforce within all of us that are watching. We are always grateful for each of you taking your time, writing your messages. And we're also very open, as we want you guys to know that this is a full participation of what is also coming through each of you. If there are questions, if there are things that are arising within your field, within this beautiful new year, please feel free, because we always feel just so honored that we can take this time to share what's moving through us, but as well as to share what is happening on a collective field. Because what's happening that we see, we're all moving through this together.
Yeah.
And even as what may seem a small issue.
Wait, 111. Everybody, 111. Visualize the highest love for you on this 1111, 111. Just hold that energy in your heart. Group 111 energy. Sorry.
Thank you, Doreen.
Sorry, Doreen. Hi, thank you. I get excited.
What moves through each of us, no matter how small, how large, it's always a reflective of every single individual.
Yeah.
So, I know sometimes we may not be as open or may be very private, but however you choose to share what may be happening, if there's something that you're just aware of, feel free. We always are checking the chats, as we are very grateful for all the wonderful blessings. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Lilia. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, all the others that we don't see on here, that we're honored that you guys think pink coffee. It's cute. I like pink coffee. Thank you, Fiorella.
Oh, Fiorella.
Fiorella, thank you.
So much love,
Thank you,
Fiorella.
Lisa. And just thank you for all that have taken the time today to celebrate with us, because really this is about bringing forth our hearts, our love, and our presence to bring forth what's happening not only within our lives, but what's happening on a collective, and to receive the messages that are moving through. So we really want to honor that within each of you, honor that time to just honor yourselves for being present. Thank you.
And to honor us, I put 3 ones here for us for the triple energy. And want to share with you that next week, Friday, we will not have Friday tea time, unfortunately, because I will be at the dentist's office with my younger son in Miami for his orthodontist, and Michael has a healing session. So we'll be away next week. We won't be able to provide that, but the following week we'll return back and we'll be here. So thank you so much for joining with us. Doreen, I will see you tomorrow. Yay! And this weekend, it's so interesting. So when I just feel to share this too. So this weekend in Washington, D.C., though we have this glorious sun, Michael has a full day event with Archangel Michael Healing tomorrow at Rise Wellbeing, and I have a packed event for channeling the masters.
And Miriam has a unicorn and dragon workshop
that's right,
at
Phoenix Rising. So it's so interesting because we have this going on, and then we have some interesting energy of snow that may shift things around. So we put into field again. If any of you, I will send a message out tomorrow, email, whether we are on or we are off, because we have to determine if there's accumulation. Then we have a rescheduled date for Sunday, February 3rd instead. But it's so interesting, like it's so packed, and I'm just laughing. And interesting enough, majority of the people that have signed up to come for channeling the master this Sunday are all newer people. And so we'll see how it goes. So point being, life will bring us all kinds of just really circumstances, but it is our choice how we deal with it. And our communication is very key, especially if you're collaborating with others. So may you have the permission to give yourself to clearly communicate. And so that way, nobody's left in the dark, and you're able to just voice your truth and to experience within the interactions how the energy is aligned or disaligned. And I feel what I love about these moments, like you get to learn how you collaborate with Rise within this, and how people are they very rigid or are they flexible? And with me channeling master, are people going to get so angry because they can't attend, or they're going to be like, oh, of course, we'll honor this. So life constantly bringing opportunity. Nothing is happening to us, but it's happening for us, for our greater good. And I feel that's a big message for today that I have.
I feel it shadows the message that, or it equates to the message that was just read in letting go, because I find that when things happen, there is this letting go process of trying to hold on something or force something to happen. So there's this flexibility and this fluidity of seeing how we can just allow what's supposed to be. And those of us in the mid-Atlantic, and when they, create, these snowstorms of like, okay, is it going to happen? What's going to happen? We never really know what's going to happen until the snow falls. We don't know how big the accumulation. Sometimes like, this is the biggest snowstorm ever, and we get 2 inches. And there's like, well, it's going to rain a little, and then we get 2 feet. So the most important thing is to look outside. We're monitoring it each day, and we're seeing what happens, and everything is on, and just to trust what you feel, because again, depending where you come from, if the roads are clear and it's still snowing, then they did say that it may stop, it may go on, but just trust what you feel in your heart and really honor that flexibility to go with the flow. Because what Honey's taught me a lot is when change happens, you have to move with it. And moving with it really requires this acceptance of saying, okay, how much can I let go and just allow that energy to flow? So thank you. And thank you, Demetrius,
Hi,
for
Demetrius. So
coming
nice to
on.
see you.
Good to see you again. I hope you get to see the beginning of the this live stream, and we're just honored today for all of you guys to be here. Thank you.
So let us offer our prayer in closing. So here's our group prayer for our weekend. and the week coming up as we breathe this in. Dear Mother, Father, God, dear great Creator, dear great voice, the great sound, the great incredible light of all illumination, the light of love, the light of oneness that you are, that beats through this drum beat of my heart and your heart and our heart. So much gratitude for this life force energy that is bestowed upon us. May we breathe in that place of love that is the carrier of all light inside. May we remember that we come from light, we'll return to light. And this temporary space of darkness is only for us to experience our highest light in deep gratitude of it. Because in oneness, there is no duality, and we're going through the remembrance of non-duality, of oneness and one light, one heart, one love. Bless Bob Marley for knowing this so early on. Thank you for being an amazing spirit guide, for that music you put forward for us to feel one love, truly one love, one humanity, one heart. Thank you for this day, this Venus energy, this incredible gift of Venus that many of us have had life on, and we have lived as a Christed being on Venus. And somehow we know the power of compassion, the power of love, the power of understanding, the power of trust and faith in the one. And may we be anointed with the dazzling oil of illumination from the heart and mind of God today, and bring our heavenly realm, our higher realm, into ourselves, into anchoring it on earth by our talk, by our walk, by our expression, by our beingness. Thank you so much for the gift of social media. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you for the great gift of live stream that we get to join here. These are all signs of bringing us the awareness of our multidimensional reality. We get to join here together in this portal of light and interact with each other. How blessed we are. We have each other. How thankful it is that this medium exists, so we can help remember all the different mediums inside of us, the access to our vast multiple dimensional realities. Thank you for this triple flame of 1111, well, 111, 111, 111, 111, and this mirroring energy inside. Thank you for all the gifts that have already been bestowed upon us as we breathe in this trust, in this golden moment, in this now. And we sit in the seat of our soul with our little child and just opening up one present at a time and extending our gratitude over and over and over as a reminder of our ascension attitude. And so it is.
And so it is.
Beloved I am, beloved I am, beloved I am.
Beloved I am, beloved I am, beloved I am.
I love this decree. Some of you already know it. It goes, violet fire, violet fire, violet fire from the heart of mind of God. Shine thy light through me each day. Transmute and heal my human imperfection into God's diamond heart and Christ's perfection. Transmute and heal my human imperfection into God's diamond heart and Christ's perfection. Oh, violet fire, oh, violet fire. Oh, I love you, violet fire. Ah, and so it is. So much love, big hug. Have the most beautiful day. Bye-bye.